Hello and welcome to the program Women in Politics and Governance, a program focused on women politicians and women in government. My name is Jemilah Shuaibu, your regular host. Today I have a guest on the program. She is an educator and a grassroots politician. Her name is Dr.Seun Bosede Osamaye.
Thank
I
you
hope I
so
got
much.
that right.
Yes, you got it absolutely right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Thank
Yeah.
you for allowing us into your beautiful home.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
As custom, what we usually do is introduce yourself, give us a brief background into who Dr. Seun is.
Well, thank you so much. I must first commend you
Oh,
for this kind of program.
mm,
It's long overdue,
mm,
having such a program where women can be given visibility, women can be given a platform
mm.
to speak out, to reach out to the outside world. So it's a good thing you're doing, and we are proud of you.
Thank you so much.
My name is Dr.Seun Bosede Osamaye. I'm from Ekiti State. I was born into uh, a beautiful family of Ikere Ekiti, and my mom is also a princess from Oyo Ekiti. And I got married into another beautiful family of Ondo State, and Hilara Mokin of the federal local government of Ondo State, and I happened to, play my politics in Ondo State, and I became quite popular there. So I am an educationist. I actually lecture in the College of Education, Federal College of Education. In fact, the first College of Education in Nigeria, but grateful, hopeful, to the glory of God, is now a federal university, and we'll be celebrating our 60 years anniversary next week. And I'm grateful to God for that. I was a lecturer there uh, before I was appointed as a senior legislative aide of the former Speaker of House of Reps, who is currently the Chief of Staff to the President, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. Yes, so I worked with him for 4 years, if I throughout his tenure as a speaker. So I would say, to comment briefly on my background, I would say that my background contributed to who I am today. I was trained by a man who was quite popular, for his philanthropy while we're growing up. And I was also trained by a woman, a mother, who was a police officer who rose to her ranks, at that time. That was not quite popular for female children to be policewomen. So I would say that shaped me into who I am, and I married a man.
The doggedness came from.
Yes, thank you so much, the resilience. And I married a man that has also encouraged me to SWAT, who is not intimidated by my profile. So I would say all of these have shaped me, and I became an educationist, not because I was willing to, but I had the best results in my class. So, yeah, when I graduated, I had the best results. I had the ICGPA, so I was, called upon to be a graduate assistant. And that was how I delved into the world of academics. And all of this things shaped me into becoming who I am.
Wow. Interesting background, I must say.
Thank you so much.
Politics. I've seen you in how you play politics, how passionate you are about politics, and especially when you have someone you're supporting. I've watched you closely, and sometimes I get really fascinated. I'm like, who is this woman? How did politics start for you?
Oh, thank you so much. That's an interesting question. I would say that I didn't really plan into becoming partisan. It was actually my love for helping people. I remember vividly in 2016, one of my husband's friends was actually running for an election, and the person he relied on to speak and canvass and talk to people for him actually bailed out on him. So he was left high and dry. So at that time, I just felt, what's the big deal in all of this? Is it something we can do? Is it to talk to people? I must also say that my background while I was in school, I was a comrade, and I was involved into student unionism. So I would say that also contributed to who I am. So I would say to the glory of God that you know my growth or my growth in politics started from there, in 2016 precisely. I wanted to help him, to.
How did politics start for you?
Oh, thank you so much. That's an interesting question. I would say that I didn't really plan into becoming partisan. It was actually my love for helping people. I remember vividly in 2016, one of my husband's friends was actually running for an election, and the person he relied on to speak and canvass and talk to people for him actually bailed out on him. So he was left high and dry. So at that time, I just felt, what's the big deal in all of this? Is it something we can do? Is it to talk to people? I must also say that my background while I was in school, I was a comrade and I was involved into student unionism. So I would say that also I am. So I would say to the glory of God, that my growth or my growth in politics started from there, in 2016 precisely. I wanted to help him, to reach out to the grassroots, to talk to people, and eventually he made me his coordinator, help him, to reach out to the grassroots, to talk to people, and eventually he made me his coordinator. And we went into the election, and to the glory of God, we worked together as a team. I was young then, but we were able to win the election. We defeated an incumbent at that time. So it was interesting. So I would say it was our passion, our love to see a change in the society. At that time, he was a young man, and we felt we needed to change the narrative. We've had elderly men, old men at the chambers, and they were not really doing anything. So went around talking to people, reaching out to the grassroots, speaking to them, appealing to them on the need to support a younger person, for agility, for energy, and then for capacity. And they agreed and they supported us.
You made it sound so easy.
Honestly, it wasn't easy.
You made it sound.
It was a whole lot of work.
Yeah, you
A
made it
whole lot
sound
of
so
sleepless
easy.
nights.
You
A
know?
whole lot of hard work. It wasn't easy. And yes, I sound so easy now because we had a positive result. We won. If we had not won, it wouldn't have been easy. So that gave us the impetus to say, okay, it's easy. But actually, it wasn't easy. It was a whole lot of work. And I want to also commend the candidate then who won. It was for trusting me anyway, because it takes a lot of courage for a man to say, okay, let this woman lead my campaign. It's not easy.
It's not.
So I give kudos to him for that.
It's not.
Yeah.
Especially in this part of the world,
Yes,
where women are only meant to be seen
and not
in
to
quotes
be heard.
and not to be heard.
That's true.
As a woman, how were you able to cope with the challenges that came with being a politician, being into politics? Because we all know
what
how,
it takes
yeah.
and what it entails. Well,
Yes.
I would say that the first thing that has helped me as an individual, and I want to personalize this now because what works for me may not work for
someone else. Exactly.
else.
Yeah.
I would say is my husband.
Okay.
I had a beautiful home front, and my husband has been so supportive. In fact, sometimes when I get discouraged out there, and the truth of the matter is there are a whole lot of challenges that will discourage you. You have men that feels you speak too much. You have people that feels you are outspoken. You have people that feels, why are you asserting yourself? They feel you shouldn't speak at all. So because of that, there are a whole lot of challenges we face as women in politics. There's this popular one. It is the defamation. There's this usual way of blacklisting women in politics.
You can say that
to
again.
say that, oh come on, you are sleeping with this, you are sleeping with that.
We hear as in
So
it's like
so for me, I would say it's not that I have a good man who supports me. I have a good husband who allows me to swear. I have someone who doesn't listen to side thoughts. So I would say that has helped me, to cope with some of these challenges. In fact, I don't even feel that I have a challenge. I just go ahead to do what I feel is necessary. And like you said earlier, I have this passion, this love for helping people. So it is that love, it is that passion that drives me. So when I support any individual, okay, I go all out to show my support towards the
I
person
saw that during the last election.
yes, using my resources, using my energy, raising my resources. I do everything I can to show that women can also, support men. Yeah, that's what I do.
The last election,
Yeah.
you
The
were
2023 election, right? The
yes,
presidential one.
yeah, the presidential election that
Yeah.
had now President Bola
Good.
Ahmed Tinubu
Yeah.
into power.
Yeah.
You were one of those at the forefront
Yes, I
of
was.
his campaign.
Yes.
I even heard one time that you had to fly in from the UK,
Yes.
yeah, to come partake in the process.
Yes.
What made you have so much belief, so much passion for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
Well, thank you so much. Like I said, I worked with the current chief of staff when he was the speaker. And at that time, it was someone that current chief of staff when he was the speaker. And at that time, it was someone that had been in the house for over 16 years. And we hear a lot about how President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, identifies talents and supports them to grow. So in 2019, some of us are coming from a background that is rich in character, but not rich in contacts, in network, or in money. So some of us felt that to make a change, we need to support an individual who also grew from such background. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was someone that was not from a not so wealthy background. His background is from strength. He built his character. Okay, so I felt that at that time, it was someone that has identified so many talents and assisted them to grow. So his antecedents will feel that by God's grace, if he eventually becomes a president, through him, with someone who has such a background, it will be easier for people with merit to attain height. Before he came on board, the usual practice is that most appointive positions, elective positions are handpicked. They are given to most, how would I put it, most people that are not deserving of it. So some of us hope and pray and work and thought that by God's grace, when Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu becomes president, there will be a huge difference. There will be a departure from this norm. And that was why we worked hard to ensure his victory. In fact, at that time, the reason why it was easier for people to know that I had come in from London was because while I was in London, I did a Facebook Live. So everybody saw me. And the next day, they were seeing me on Atiku Square again, counting presidential votes. They said, how come? So that was how they got to know that, she was not in town and had to come. That's how much some of us believed in this project. And we worked hard. As at then, I was the president of Young Women in the country, and we moved around under the party to mobilize women, young women across board. We went around. I didn't also do that alone. We went to campuses. In fact, I could remember it was myself and in collaboration with the City Boy movement that went to the campus to campaign for our president. We went to a university that most people even assumed is for Labour Party, but we went there to preach the message of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I was also involved in the election and planning committee of the campaign under the leadership of Governor Raji Fashola. Okay, so we worked hard at different sectors. I also worked with the youth wing. I worked with the women wing of the party. We worked hard at different angles, and I have pictures, I have profiles, I have videos to show for this. In fact, at the time during the election at the Hugo Square, I could remember vividly that myself, the current FRS chairman, who was the secretary then, and then the current Minister of Budget and Planning, who was the chairman of the committee at that time. Around 2 a.m. in the midnight, we were moving around, checking the delegate stands. I happened to go with them because I was the person in charge of the files. That when somebody withdraws from the contest, you have to sign the file. So I was asked to hold the files and follow them around. So I was moving around with them. We got to Akwa Ibom stand, and there was a whole lot of crisis at that time by the former Minister of Transport, who ran for the presidency and came third. That was the Honorable Right Honorable Hamechi. There was a whole lot of fracas. I had to run, calling the attention of the media, calling security men, just to ensure that everything went well. So these are some of the sacrifices some of us made. These are some of the efforts some of us put into the election.
Ashiwaju's regime. What do you have to say? Are you impressed? Do you think there is room for improvement? Do you think some of the policies that he has put in place would actually be beneficial to the general populace?
Well, thank you so much. I will say that I'm going to make my comments as a supporter, a great lover and supporter of this government. And so I'm going to be very blunt. I will say that somehow I'm impressed and somehow I'm not. While I will expatiate on it. I'm impressed because the government, led by their president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, is doing a lot, working around the clock to ensure that on the long run, we have a better country. And we are grateful to him for that. But the truth is that some of these efforts, does not have a, a, how would I really put it now, a correlated result and effect at the grassroots. Let's not forget, God bless, I want to explain that. We must not forget that our president was a president that won on the goodwill of the masses. At the time he won his election, there was cash crunch. So the people didn't vote for him because of money. And the powers that be, the international powers that be now, do not want him in office. But the masses, the poor people, went all out. People who do not have a godfather anywhere, people like us, stood all out for him to say he's our hope. He's somebody that will change the face of this country. And I will say some of the policies that have been brought into the force so far will give us that result, that better nation that we want on the long run. But before that time, what are we doing? What are his foot soldiers doing to ensure that the welfare of the grassroots have been taken care of? There is this adage that says that you cannot give what you do not have. So while I'm impressed with the president, I'm not impressed at all with some of its foot soldiers. Why? Because I feel that once a leader gives you a responsibility, once you are assigned to take up a position, it is also your duty to ensure that every other persons associated with such mandates are well taken care of. Let's not forget, the responsibility of every government is not just security, but also welfare. So at the moment, the people, the masses, are shouting. That's the reality. Unless you want us to face the camera and pretend like all is well. So that is why I said I'm impressed with what he's doing, and somehow I'm not impressed with the shouting.
With the shouting, the populace always shout. Every regime,
yes,
always
they always clamor.
enough.
No. The truth is, they always clamor, and that is why through their votes, they elect a man they feel will make the changes and bring about the results they want. And that was why they went against all odds to support their president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And that is why I honestly feel that the foot soldiers are not doing enough. They need to do more to ensure that the welfare of the grassroots are taken care of. At the moment, yes, we have removed fuel subsidy so that on the long run, the localization of our products and every other thing can be taken care of. But what are we doing to ensure that the subsidy removal does not affect the grassroots? An ordinary citizen of this country, sometimes I'm talking about the villagers, do not even read about these policies. They do not understand how these policies. They just know that the transportation from one point to another, has skyrocketed. So what are some of these agents of government doing? So the sad reality at the moment is that those that are economically empowered to go to the grassroots, and how many of them wants to eat alone? They want to chop alone. And it's not possible. Government is not for one person. But when you expound,
maybe there are no allocations for.
You don't need an allocation.
How are you able to fund the aids?
God bless you. People like, for me, once there's a will, there's always a will. When I was the senior legislative aide to Mr. Speaker, I had a challenge. What was that challenge? I was a departmental secretary in the university before I came. I realized that my department released me on leave of absence with the hope that I will come back and do something to my alma mater. When I discovered that with the way government was going, with the way it was being run, I won't be able to achieve anything. Do you know what I did? I went back to the college and I requested for a land. I started building a library with my personal fund.
Do you think
what I did, I'm coming, madam, what I did at that time was to deny myself of certain personal enjoyment. I didn't go for any vacation for 2 years. I did not buy expensive clothes. I did not buy expensive car. I did not buy expensive shoe. I was using the money to build the library. At the end of the day, when we finished our tenure...
Calm down. I'm going to ask you about that library. You're going to give us the history of that library.
So it's to tell you that it is the question of who we fund. In fact, the question of who is going to fund should not come first. The question should be, what do I do? How do I add value to my principal? How do I add value? How do I lessen his burden? When you identify ways to lessen the burden of your principal, before you know it, the funding will naturally come.
There has been speculations that oftentimes there have been women who have been appointed into positions, and at the end of the day, maybe I should use the word fumbled to some certain extent. Do you think that's one of the reasons that affects women inclusion in politics, especially when it comes to appointment? Even though I must give it to the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he has been very magnanimous in appointing women into his administration. I don't think we've ever had it like this before. This amount of women, holding political positions. Yeah, so do you think that in the past, that is what has affected?
Well, I would say we've had this good. Okay, the only difference with the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is we've never had this set of young women in government. So I would say with him, we need to give him, a big kudos for that. Because it's a president that believes so much in young people. This is the first time we are having a set of young people under 40 holding good positions. In fact, I tell people, this president has shown that you can become anything in this government. So some of us are proud and we are happy with him. The only unfortunate thing is that some of the people that have been assigned, that have been given this opportunity, are unfortunately not doing well. They are embarrassing him and embarrassing us because this is our mandate.
How
like
do you
I
mean
said,
embarrassing
I'm
and
coming. This
embarrassing?
is I'm a woman. So when I hear on the tabloids of paper that another woman, was engrossed in any dirty shades, I should be ashamed. I should be embarrassed because we are the ones clamoring for women inclusion.
But there's no proof yet, is there?
I should ask EFCC chairman. We should ask
There hasn't been any alleged.
We should ask even alleged is not good. Like in our place, they used to say one should not walk in the what's it called, in the corridors of death, so that they will not pack you. Young women, other women who worked in other areas were considered, and we supported and promoted them. Now, when these women have been appointed, what have they done to promote their other women? What have they done so far? So far now, what have they done? They've done absolutely nothing. Some of them have become so big and so high that they have forgotten the other people, the other women who worked with them. They have even abandoned our creed. They have abandoned. And the men are watching them. They think the men are foolish. The men are watching them. Instead of them to promote other women so that there will be more women on the table, now they feel they are the only ones who should be there. So at the end of the day, some of these women will probably have troubles. Why? We have cases. Even if you notice in government.
But do you think that should be the priority after giving an appointment? Shouldn't the priority be what you have been assigned to do?
It should be both. Women have been proven to be more compassionate. We are more people friendly. If you want to get a job done, send a woman. But because the kind of women that are positioned now, they are not women friendly. If not, when you talk of welfare, who should be more compassionate than a woman? When it comes to welfare, my sister, who should be more compassionate than a woman? But when you elect or appoint a woman who you assumed ordinarily should consider to encourage more, these are things that the president cannot do.
Do you have anybody in mind?
No, I'm talking generally. I'm talking generally. And our Yorubas, we used to say, Entowe baba kobo poloba. Do you know the meaning? It means if my proverb is for you, you should know it's for you.
They should fit.
Yes. So you should know it's for you and you should change.
Because when you spoke about what is it called? When you talked about being compassionate and all of that, I know, there have been quite one or two women that have been assigned into positions, especially in this administration, that so far, from my judgment, which in this interview doesn't really matter, but have been doing quite well.
Good. That was why I said somehow. It means my response is not for such people.
Yeah.
My response is, but a small, how will I put it now? It's not about, if you are good, if you have like a ratio of, let's say 2 to 10, people won't talk about the good eggs. They'll talk about the bad ones. Sure. So that's what I'm doing. Sure. Okay, so because the focus will no longer be on the good ones.
So do you feel neglected?
I do.
Believe in Godfatherism?
Honestly, before I don't, but now I do. Because
do you think it plays a huge role in politics?
Yes, definitely it does. Because the truth of the matter is, when you look at the antecedents of the many people that have been appointed, were they on the field with us?
In this administration,
yes.
Or previous administration?
Yes, this very administration. Were they on the field with us? That's a question we should both ask ourselves. Were they on the field? Me, I have profile to show. I was here, I was there, I was this, I was that.
They might also have profile to show.
And that's together. So
you single-handedly built a library.
Thank you so much.
Single-handedly.
Yes.
I must commend you.
Thank you so much.
I must really, really appreciate your efforts.
Thank you so much.
It takes a lot.
Yes.
It takes a lot to embark on such feat.
Yes.
Selfless feat.
Yes.
How did you do it?
Well, thank you so much. First, I want to say that people like me should be commended and celebrated, so that it will serve as a motivation for others to embark on such projects. The truth of the matter is government cannot do everything. What are we doing as citizens of this country to add value? When I was a student, we had just one library in the whole of the university, a university that is above, it was a college before it was made a university, that has been above 55 years. I felt this was not good enough. The library was not serving the people. So when I was appointed in 2019, I walked around, I begged around, I knelt down, to see how we can facilitate a library back to my university. But I realized it was very difficult. It wasn't as easy as I thought. I thought working with the speaker should make it easy, but it was not. But I did not allow that to deter me. I felt, okay, if it is not possible to facilitate, can't I build with my personal money? It's not going to be easy, but it's something I can do. So how did I do it? I just denied myself of all personal privileges. No vacation, no expensive clothes, no expensive cars. In fact, there was a time I was denied entry into certain rooms because they were complaining of how I dressed. That show does not wear expensive dress. But they didn't know that at that time I was, mopping up all my money to ensure I build a library for my alma mater. Today, the library is a 200 capacity library, and it was a huge one. We've commissioned it since last year. When we commissioned the library and I was asked to talk, I said, this library is a product of when there is a will, there is always a way.
Absolutely.
Okay, once you make up your mind, and this is to show that we can add value to our society without waiting for government.
Whichever capacity you find yourself.
Yes, I did not wait for government. Sure. I realized that there are a lot of bureaucracy that would not make the facilitation possible. Instead of whining and wailing and crying and weeping, what did I do? I embarked on that project personally, and I want to say that the project has earned me a lot of accolades. In fact, by next week, our university will be 60 years, and I'm being decorated as a fellow of the university. And on another day in the same week, the alumni is giving me a distinguished alumni award. So I want to say that all of my efforts have been recognized, and some of this has now spurred me to think of what else can I do to my community. So I'm saying that community development, the development of the society, even nation building, it's not something that can be left in the hands of government.
Absolutely.
Government alone cannot do it, especially when it comes to education. Let's be honest. I'm an educationist. I've rose through the rank. I taught in primary, in secondary, in university. So I understand that if truly we want our country to be the best in the community of nations, when it comes to education, then individuals, stakeholders, those that have been blessed, I do not have much. So if I can do this even with my mega income, how much was I earning? When I was an SLA, how much? And if I could do this, it means people who have more can do so much more. Let's identify what we can do. Let's stop complaining if we feel the government is not doing enough. That was why I said it is because we have a platform such as your platform. That's why we are talking, so that we can appeal to the people, those that are economically empowered, to make changes. But some of us are not waiting. Like me, as a grassroots politician, I try as much as possible, at least once in 3 months. And that's what I've been doing in the last 5 years. Once in 3 months, I gather all the elderly around me, people that find it difficult to feed. We have them around. We know them in our community. I gather them and I give them money. It doesn't matter if I'm available. If I'm not available, I send some of my people. I just make sure at least once in 3 months, I do it. I bring them together, over 100. Sometimes if I'm economically buoyant, I take over 500. That is when I'm okay. I give them at least a sum of 5,000. sometimes 10. If I have more, I say, give it to them. And some of these things, they go home, they appreciate it, they feed with it, they are grateful. And if I cannot afford money, sometimes I do food items. We all know how much foodstuffs cost now. So I take foodstuffs, I give it to them. I'm not waiting for government.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm appealing to our people. The only difference is that for some of us, because we are not economically empowered, we cannot do much more than what we have. That's why we are appealing to people who are in appointive positions to please, assist the president. When people are crying, when they say people are crying, the grassroots is weeping, the masses are suffering, it is because they are not seeing that inclusion. It is because they are well fed. Nobody's talking to them. I tell people, even access, talking to people, is enough, to keep them at peace. When some of these policies, how much are we doing to talk to the people at the grassroots?
Thinking of vying for a position? Are you thinking of?
Yes, definitely.
Contesting for an election?
Yes, definitely I will. Although I'm thinking that in Ondo State, they'll probably say, oh, she's a wife.
A wife that has done so much.
Oh, I've done despite doing so much. You can imagine they will still say, oh, she's a wife. So now I'm beginning to think, maybe I should go back to my hometown. Yes, now. Because my father was well known for his philanthropy before he died.
But I actually think that as a Nigerian and as someone who
that
has
is
impacted
what I think
in a community,
yes,
so
shouldn't
much,
where you come from, Shudima.
Exactly.
That is what I think most of our female legislators are supposed to work on. But unfortunately, they are not working on it. There was a time there was a bill. But the bill didn't get through. Okay, I feel these are things our female legislators should work on. They should work on a bill that says that once you are a wife in a state, you are also should be entitled
of that
state automatically, so that you can run for elections. You understand? But unfortunately, that particular bill didn't scale through.
I must actually commend the Minister of Women Affairs. In some areas, she has been quite proactive.
Yes.
And
Barrister Ojo.
One of the recent one was the stopping of some
the 100 offense.
What is your take on that?
Well, I would say that for a speaker of a state to be so bold to want to advocate for 100 offers, to be married off, in this digital age, shows how backward we are as a nation, even though we want to pretend that we are not backward, because the speaker is the number 3 citizens. Let's not forget that there was a time there was an act, the Child Rights Act, was supposed to be domesticated across the country. So if we have a speaker who is so bold, coming from a state, one of the most popular states in the country, it simply means that they do not see it as a bad thing.
Yeah,
so there has to be laws.
We're brought to the fact that it's culturally accepted, religiously accepted.
That's why we are saying that our laws needs to be strengthened. Our laws needs to be strengthened so that even before you can become a speaker, you must understand it was by the minister, and she has been commended for it. At least what she was able to do was to bring it to the fore. If she had not brought it to the fore, it was through her legal redress that made people to be aware about the issue. That we are not aware of. So we must commend her for, taking that initiative to use a legal measure to caution the speaker. And I'm sure the speaker would have been, warned to stop any act that might embarrass the house.
So, finally.
Okay,
finally. What word of advice do you have for young women, young ladies who want to come into the political scene? who actually feel intimidated and who, because of what they have heard or experiences they have had, have decided to step aside or step back and just allow the men do their thing, because sometimes you'll realize that it is the same women, that gang up against a fellow
so
woman.
that's the problem of
You know,
ourselves.
yeah. So what
You promote the woman and the woman will fight you.
what word of encouragement do you have for them?
The truth of the matter is, at the moment, uh, I'm already experiencing what you just said. So it's not easy, encouraging other women. But what I would say is, so far, when you take a step back, rediscover yourself, develop yourself, okay? While we are waiting, the government is taking shape. I didn't sit on the side and try to, while away the time in self-pity. What I have done is to, continue my program, to develop myself as an individual, and I try as much as possible to still continue my impact in my immediate society, and that is why, despite not being appointed, I'm being celebrated. So I would say to them, be focused, okay? Do not be intimidated. Of course, the intimidation will come. They'll try to make you feel like you are a nobody, like you do not matter. But I tell people, when they don't see you, show yourself. Okay? If nobody ginger you, ginger yourself. That's the word. Because the truth is, we are in a world where you may not necessarily get somebody to encourage you. You have to be your biggest cheerleader. Absolutely. That's the truth. Absolutely. So, because the person you expect to cheer you up is also struggling. So, my advice to every young woman is, be focused, rediscover yourself. Self-development is a must. It's not negotiable. Make sure you develop yourself at every stage. Try to be a better human being, and then refuse to be discouraged. Okay? If nobody, in fact, have less expectation of anyone. Do not, and be strategic. That's yes, be sincere, but also be strategic. That's the truth. Because service is good, selfless service is good, but sometimes it is good to be strategic. Why? Because you need to be empowered to make more impact. So it's good to be strategic. So I would say, in a long shell or in a nutshell, be focused, never lose your hope. Okay? Never lose hope. Apart from the fact that we are in the renewed hope agenda, any man who loses hope or faith is about to die. So don't lose hope. Keep your faith, keep your hope alive. We will get there. We'll achieve it. One day we have a female governor, we have a female senator.
I believe.
Female senators.
Yes.
Not just 3 or 4.
I believe we're on
we have
that
like
part.
50, 40.
But truly, do you think that day will come where we would have a female president, a female governor?
Definitely. I believe
one day it will Senate
come. Yes, I believe definitely one day it will come. Okay. We are evolving.
Yes.
We are better than yesterday.
Sure.
So there is hope for us. Sure. There's hope for us.
It has been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you for giving us your time.
Thank you.
And hopefully when we call again,
yes, I'll be available. Thank you for your platform.
Thank you so much. We have a little gift for you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So viewers, you have heard it all from Dr.Seun Bosede Osamaye. It's been an interesting one, I must say. I hope you enjoyed every bit of it. Join me again on Women in Politics and Governance. I remain Jemilah Shuaibu. See you soon.
Yeah.